ideas and content expressed in this podcast are our own and do not reflect the views or opinions of any current or previous employers.
Boom.
Oh, the boom.
I love it.
I love the boom.
That's fantastic. Dude, I'm telling you, it's fantastic. So, I don't know if you checked recently, but we are way up there.
We're practically famous.
No, we're famous. We're world famous. We're world famous. We're known throughout the world. Nobody would recognize us.
I don't think anybody who actually listens to this podcast would care, but
I don't think so
I
either.
mean, we care a lot.
I tell my kids that I'm famous all the time. They don't seem fazed by it.
You know what's funny is I've talked about the podcast a little bit lately, and they're like, "Oh, you're recording a podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like,
"Yeah, you don't listen?"
Yeah, it's like we're about to break 10,000 downloads, and they're like, "What?"
Yeah, they're like, "Who cares about you that much?"
Well, of course, that's the first thing, but the truth is, like, that's not like I look at these, like, my kid watches a lot of YouTube videos, and these gamers, dude, they post anything, and they have like 1.5 million hits immediately.
I'm like,
but
who the
that's
hell is
different than
watching
a podcast, though, right? That's not like that's something completely separate from podcast, so that I can make myself feel better.
Yes, 100%.
Definitely different and not comparable.
Dude, my kids watch that crap, and I'm like, really gonna watch a dude play video games? What?
It's even worse than that. Like, I tell him, all right, it's time to turn the video games off. This is a couple years ago. My boy's 15 now, but... And then he'd stop playing video games, and then he would watch videos of other people playing video games. What is up with that?
I'm like, dude, I'd rather just play video games. Stop watching other people do it.
I watch a lot of hunting and fishing videos, so maybe that's kind of the same thing.
Oh my god. You know what, though? When you're hunting and fishing, at least you're outside hunting and fishing.
Yeah, but not when I'm watching videos of it.
I know, but... I mean...
That's true.
You're either sitting playing video games, or you're sitting watching other people. Get out there. That's true. Explore. Dude, I had like 6 deer in my front yard this morning.
That sounds great.
I thought of you. I was like, I should go downstairs, get my bow and arrow set, and try and take one of them sons of bitches out.
Right.
But I was like...
Out of season, in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
That would have been illegal and disgusting.
Oh. Would it have been disgusting or just illegal? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to get into it, but it's much better when it's cold outside.
Well, the bitch is, if I had hit one... Then I'd be like, I better call Jason, because I have no idea what to do with this
thing. You just keep driving.
I'd be like, hey, get off my lawn! But you know what? That ties in. That's a perfect segue, because hunting out of season is unethical.
Unethical!
And that's what we're going to talk about today,
today.
Is ethics on the job site. Because I got to tell you, there are a million ways to be unethical on a job site.
Definitely.
Especially when you control, hundreds of thousands of dollars. You've got, you're managing hundreds of people on any given day. You've got subordinate, like actual employees that work for you. You've got subcontractors that are out there working for you.
Right.
There's, you've probably heard a ton of stories. I know I have about, years ago I heard a story about a group of guys that were working, they all worked together on separate communities, but they all worked together. And then I heard that they had gone in, like started an LLC and were building houses. And they were taking the material from their individual job sites to build those houses.
I've heard that on a small scale. Lots and lots of times.
It's crazy.
Definitely a really, really stupid way. I always say, you got $1,000 job. Don't throw it away for dollars. Don't throw it away for pennies.
Yeah, man.
That's what we're talking about here. This is a career that you set yourself up on.
Well, I think
think about it like a career.
One of the easiest ways to be unethical on a job site is with the material, right? Because there's a ton of material out there, and it's real easy to say, oh, well, I'm doing this side project for my house or for somebody else. Oh, look, here's a heck of 2x4s. Here's an extra window. Right. Here's this. Here's that. The temptation is definitely there, but it's super important. Like, I'm a world-class dumpster diver. I don't know if you know that about me, but I will open up a dumpster and pull some material out of there.
You can't come to my job site, though, because if my boss is listening, we cut every piece perfectly. We don't have any waste. There's no shelving material that's even possible to find.
Oh. Well, here's the thing. I think there's a difference. Once the thing is designated for trash, even you should still go to your manager and say, look, this is trash. Just to cover yourself. I'm taking it. It's trash. Because if you get permission, then you're covered. But I can't tell you how many times I've been on job sites where guys have liberated material that was actually supposed to be installed in a home. That's not trash. That's called theft.
Liberated material. Like freed it from tyranny?
Freed it from tyranny. You know? I know that guy's not a craftsman. He's going to butcher this material.
It's good material, man. I got to take it to my house.
So, it's just important to, one of the things that you're tasked with as a, what I should have started with, unique New York.
Right.
Because I feel like I can't speak today.
Well, at least it's not like 4 o'clock in the morning like the last time we recorded. Both of us are the whole time.
What was I saying?
Let's talk about the 3 main things that we were going to really highlight. You wrote it on the outline. Mm-hmm. Ethics on the job. 3 key things: material, subordinate employees, and trade partners. Sure. And those are like the 3 that are right in your face as a CM.
Always. Yep.
Material, like you said, I feel like it's none of the stuff that's on a job site belongs to you.
Right.
You're there to manage it. You're there to take someone else's money, essentially, buy things with it, and build it for other people that are paying their money, not to you, to a company, for you to build it. And like you said, I think what you said that's really, really key is, even if it's trash, you have to get permission. There's nothing wrong with reusing what would be trash. I have some cabinets at my house, which I am not ashamed to admit because I did clear it with my boss 12 years ago, that I could take these couple of cabinets from my laundry room, but they were actually a mistake by the cabinet company that the cabinet company refused to come pick up.
Oh yeah, man.
So we're talking about whoops, I sent you the wrong 4 cabinets, or 2 cabinets or whatever it was, and I've sent you the replacements, and I say, are you picking these up? And they say, we can't take them back, just throw them in the dumpster.
Oh, doesn't that kill you?
It does kind of kill you, and I've seen them do that with large amounts of cabinets, and a lot of times, I think the first thing that you do as a CM on the job site is try to reuse that material.
For sure.
If you've got spec homes and somebody makes a mistake, the cabinet company makes a mistake and sends you out a whole kitchen wrong, but you could reuse it and still sell it and maybe not have to hose them on this mistake that they made, you might be able to help out. That's the ethical thing to do.
Sure.
Try to reuse it first.
Not always easy, but years and years when I first got into construction, I had an entire library of cabinets. It came out from a cabinet company. Well, the construction manager at the time said, "Yeah, we can definitely do this." Well, I didn't take into consideration the windows in the room. It's like a big study. There's windows all around. So they order the cabinets. Everything comes out, and their woman, construction manager, says to me, not that that's unusual, but kind of it is. Anyway, she says, oh crap, I made a mistake, they can't use any of these cabinets. And I got to tell the customer that we can't put this whole library system in. So I called the cabinet company, and I was like, hey, you got to come get these cabinets. And just like you said, man, they were like, put them in a dumpster. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, I'm not throwing these away. But at the time, I had no idea. They were like, then take them home. And I was like, I'm looking at them, and at the time, I'm not afraid to admit this, I had no idea how to even put them together. I was like, take them home.
Do they have a manual or something that goes with them?
Do they come with a crew to install them? Because I have no idea how to do this. But yeah, they ended up going to the dumpster, which is tragic.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I'm a world-class dumpster diver, man.
Right.
Because I hate to see the waste. I just hate it. I hate it to go into a landfill or whatever.
So what do you mean by subordinate employees?
So, it's real easy. So, we got that email from the guy out in the West who's being used as basically a punch-out guy or a laborer by his construction manager. Well, right. So if you're a construction manager and if you have an assistant underneath you, that is not... So the ethical thing to do, the right thing to do is to train them to take your job, right?
Right.
To train them so they can manage their own job. But it's real easy, when we talk about...
To make them your punch-out
guy? Just to make them your punch-out guy, rather than train them, which is really what you're being paid to do. If you're a senior guy and you have a junior guy, whoever your employer is it's expected that you're going to train that person so that they can do the same job that you're doing, for you to mentor them. And if you're not, I don't want to use the word betraying, but you're betraying the trust of your employer. And really, you're betraying the trust of that junior guy because they're expecting to get an education from you.
Yeah, because you have manager in your title. That's what you were hired to do. You shouldn't be using your guy to do other jobs.
Exactly.
And you know what? That goes for things outside the job site. How many times have you heard, an employer saying, I've got a great example. It's not somebody that that works at our company, or it was actually a trade partner, but a friend of mine worked for the trade partner, and he said, "Yeah, man, I was over at the boss's house this weekend. I had to pick up 5 loads of dog food, and I had like this, and I had that," and I'm like, "What? What are you talking about, dude?
Yeah,
That,
what are
that
you
doesn't
talking
quite
about?
sound like." He's like, "Well, we're buddies," and I'm like,
Yeah, he's being abused.
"Yeah, a little bit. I think that's the
Yeah.
case."
And it's the same, and it's just not with training, man. You talk about subordinates, there's sexual harassment. There's, like I said to a guy the other day, and I gotta watch myself. I know he doesn't like profanity.
So he hates you?
So he kind of hates me. He just doesn't like to talk to me. So, and I try to be conscious of that when I speak to him. This isn't anybody that we work with. This is just kind of a sports acquaintance that I have. And I rattled off, I was pissed off about something, and I rattled off this flurry of F-bombs and without even thinking about it.
That's so weird.
And when I finished, I'm looking at him, and he's like an assistant coach. And when I finished, I'm looking at the guy, and I was like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
I apologize.
And I was like, sorry, dude, I know you don't like profanity. And he's like, no, it's okay, but you know what? I know it's not with him. Super religious guy, doesn't like the profanity. And I kind of betrayed his trust while we were standing there by letting loose and it was bad, man. When I get going, I get going.
Yeah, you get like it's like momentum with Damien. Like once he gets rolling downhill, buddy, there's no stopping him.
There's no stopping.
I do it too. I slip with that stuff too. That's not really, it's not. I guess it really doesn't pertain to ethics.
Yeah, sure it does, man. Because especially if you're talking to somebody that it doesn't have to be an employee on the job site. It could be just somebody that looks up to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is the case with the guy I was talking to the other day.
Right.
I've been kind of helping him become a better coach, and
you're like, you're not swearing enough.
I'm like, listen, you gotta.
Nobody believes you.
You gotta cuss at those kids. So, and a big one, and I'll tell you, I had a guy. We're gonna talk about trade partners because it's super easy sometimes to be unethical with trade partners. So,
and it's easy to not even realize it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I had a guy come to me years ago. He was a superintendent. He worked for me. He had just started, and he comes to me and he goes, and I was like, "Hey, we need to increase our subcontractor base. These are the trades that we're looking for." And he goes, "Oh, I got a great guy, man. He'll come out." He's like, "You know what? You know what he'll do? We can just say, hey, I'm gonna give you a ticket for $100, and he'll give you like $75." And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, if you want like a new pair of Oakleys, he'll buy them for you and just give you a ticket, and we'll call it like, silk fence. And I'm like, what?
What are you talking about?
You are fired. You just started here and you're already fired, buddy. I'm like, hey, dude, and I was like, dude, we do not do that.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's rampant in construction.
Yeah, especially when there's tons of bills going through, and, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, nobody even is paying attention to this. And you know what? I've seen guys lose their career jobs because of very small items. And a lot of times it is involved with the trade partner because you've got some expertise right at your fingertips, and it's like, well, I call them 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And I've got this other thing, so I'm going to call them a 4th time this week and see if we can't make this work. And if you don't follow your company's policy, because I promise you, if you work for any type of mid-sized outfit or bigger, there is a policy pertaining to how you can interact with your trade partners off the job site and on the job site for that matter. But
yep.
You make sure you're not violating any of that when you're doing something small. I mean, you've got work that you need to do. If you're moonlighting, you're probably going to get yourself in trouble. That's the way it works.
Yeah, dude. I will tell you, it's real easy because I mean, you know what it is? It's a bribe.
Right.
If your contractors are taking you to wherever, spending money on you off the job site or on the job site, it's you really got to make sure you're not breaking company policy, because it's very easy for that to be construed as a bribe. I heard stories about guys getting like 4-wheelers and stuff.
Right.
How is that okay?
It's all the stories I've ever heard from any company about somebody having been involved with some sort of unethical thing. It usually has like the intentions started out good, and then we disregarded what made sense as far as ethics go. Like it was like I remember one of them was off hours. the construction manager was actually working for the subcontractor. Like, on the weekends, let's say.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I need extra money, so I'm going to work for you. And then it turned into, like, and I'm going to supply you with these things so that you can work for me. And then 6 weeks or 6 months or however long down the road, somebody finds out about it, and it's basically like, that guy bought you this stuff, and you're working outside of this, and you didn't get permission for any of it, and you're fired.
Well, not only that, you can't manage them anymore.
Right.
If you've got that relationship where on the weekends you work for them, and during the week they work for you,
Right.
the management lines are gone, and there's no...
Not just blurred, they're gone, you're right.
They're gone. You have no control over your, That's why it is so important. If you want to be... If you take your career seriously and you really want to be able to manage subcontractors or trade partners, and you want to be able to manage the job, and you really need to be...
Straight and narrow.
You need to be the example, or you need to set the example, not become the example. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good one.
So, and the contractors will, the people that work for you will recognize your integrity, and they will do more for you, and they'll do it better because they'll know, hey, this is a guy, he's got high integrity. This isn't a guy that I can manipulate. I can't just buy him lunch and all of a sudden he's going to let me write a $1,000 ticket for nothing. You know what I mean? So you actually increase your own sphere of influence when you're ethical and when you treat other people ethically. So I think it really says a lot to the character of the manager when you know that they've got those kind of ethics going.
All right, I got another example. And this is kind of like twofold, threefold maybe. We, as construction managers, want to make sure that since we manage the who's at fault and how much we agree to as a price, that's a construction manager's job.
Talking about like back charges and stuff?
Back charges specifically.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a really tough part of the construction manager's job. Because sometimes, it's not... Sometimes you have to basically control to make sure that one person isn't gouging the next.
Oh, yeah.
And that transaction is happening through you. So controlling that cost and trying to make sure that you prevent those things. I mean, you can't always do it as a CM. You can't always prevent one guy from making a mistake that impacts another person. But when it happens,
You talk about putting good work over bad.
No, not good work over bad. Sometimes, all right, so here's a good example. When the plumber is putting his water lateral or sewer lateral, he's tying that in under the footing. But the drain tile guy's already run his drain tile.
Okay.
If he comes over there and he disturbs some gravel and he lifts up the drain tile so that he can get past it and he does it real nice and neat, and they can work that back and forth. A lot of times you'll have those two trade partners make an agreement together. But
gotcha.
I've also seen it where the guy got in there with his backhoe and he just hooked the drain tile and just ripped it all the way out of the way and dug a huge pit and made a mess. And so what you don't want is you have to decide as a CM how this is going to go. If the guy who did a nice, neat job, tried to do as little damage as he could.
Yeah, he's trying to be intentional about what
and then he gets a bill. You get a bill for a back charge for like $1,500.
Yeah.
For this little $10 problem. You have to make sure you don't just pass that down the line. You're responsible for making sure that it makes sense, just as if you were paying for it.
But you gotta call bullshit on that.
Right.
You gotta say no way.
And normally you can say, you got these other 5 mistakes on my job site, and I'm not going to let you do that to me while you still have all these other items, right?
Yeah.
Or that other guy.
You know where I see that a lot is when, and just like you said, when the trades get upset, they get pissed off, they have to come out and redo the work. They're like, oh, now you're going to pay, and they hand you a bill that's filled with anger.
Right.
And it's like, no, man.
Zeros.
I'm sorry that you were upset, but you know what happens. You're gonna damage somebody else's. So yeah,
right.
that's important. But and the other aspect is, dude, I see construction managers, superintendents, whatever you call them, bullying the trades. We've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. When it comes to managing people.
There was a guy like that used to work here that doesn't work here anymore.
Yeah. Dude, my phone rang the other day, and I looked down, and I've had the same phone number for so long, and the number on it, the guy was a super bully. And I looked down, I'm like, what? Why is this guy calling me?
Right.
But it turned out it was just somebody from that office. But I had saved him as like super bully. So when I looked down,
I'm sure that's not what it said.
It's not what it said. I looked down and saw the number and was like, what? And immediately I thought to myself, I was like immediately anxious when I saw the number.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who it is off air. You'll be like, oh yeah,
Okay.
I get it.
Yeah, you know, that's a tough one because sometimes you have to be a hard guy. I mean, sometimes you have to come and say things that are not easy to say to people, but you have to make sure that it makes sense. You make sure that you make sense while you're saying it.
Yeah, and that you're respectful while you do it, because you can be stern with
Right.
somebody and still be respectful.
Right, and you know what goes around comes around. I mean, it's you have to make sure that you're taking care of these guys because some point they're going to have to take care of you. I mean, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. You know,
Definitely.
I had a recent situation where I had a contractor a trade partner that I was so upset with, but I was like, I'm going to be professional. We're going to work through this, and they kept letting me down and letting me down, and letting me down, and I think he could hear in my voice because I was very direct the last time I spoke with him. Super respectful, no profanity, you know, no name calling, nothing like that. But I was like, this is the way this is going to go.
It is non-negotiable.
This is non-negotiable. This is the consequence of the continued missed schedule. You know, do you have any questions? And the guy was like, I totally get it. He's like, I apologize. He apologized profusely a couple of times because he knew. I mean, everything was documented. I'm like, here's the schedule that got missed. Here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one. You know, and here's where we're at. And the guy was finally like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, and those things usually stem from real problems that he's probably trying to avoid too. So you just got to do what's best.
Yeah, I think he was just being a jerk.
Well,
Maybe.
it's hard to say.
I don't know. It is hard to say. So anyway, so guys, it's very important that you set the example on the job site, right? Be the guy with the high ethics on the job site. It will be reflected in your work and be reflected in your projects. The contractor or your trade partners, your subordinates on the job site will all look to you as the leader on the job site. You know, there's an expression: you manage schedules, you lead people. So, and it's important to be the leader on the job site because you are. Whether you realize it or not, when you are the superintendent or the construction manager, you are in charge of every aspect of that job. And naturally, people will look to you for leadership. And it's important to make sure that we elevate ourselves as managers of construction. We elevate, because it's not just you, right? That's a whole group that you're representing when you're out there.
Yeah.
And the days of, you know, I don't want to say chewing tobacco because people still chew tobacco. It's disgusting. But anyway, the days of, you know, of just being some redneck out on the job site and you're in charge because you know which end of a hammer to hold is gone. You know, as a profession, construction managers are way more sophisticated, I think, than they used to be.
Certainly. So
it's important that you uphold those ethical standards because you're not just representing yourself, you're representing all of us. So please, you know, be the best you can when you're out there.
Make the good choice. Sometimes it's hard, but like I say, you don't want to give up your $1,000 job for $1.
No way, man.
Make a good choice.
No way. And I've seen tons of people get fired for dumb stuff. So we were talking last time. So I'm trying to put together a live event. Did I tell you that?
You mentioned it like 5 times, I think.
Yes,
Like
I'm trying.
You're 55.
But I'm trying. It's got to be a good event at a good place. I like beer and wine. So
I guess we're not going to be on the construction site.
We were not going to be on a... You know, dude, speaking of ethics, I told you about this. I used to work with some guys, man. They would get drunk every day. This is a long time ago. I mean, not just like a couple of beers. I'm talking like shots of whiskey, tequila.
Like putting it back.
Like putting it back. And I would sit there and watch these guys. I'm like, you guys are insane. And I told on them. I went to like president of this company. I was like, hey, this is what's happening. And he goes, yeah, I'm going to take care of that.
Put me in a bad situation here.
Well, dude, we had like 2 tower cranes on the job. You know what the guy did? He's like, I'm going to take care of this right now. Showed up to the job site, took everybody out to lunch, and drank with them. And I was sitting there
that
like...
doesn't seem like a good way to get your point across.
Dude, I quit. I was like, I can't be here. Somebody's going to die on this job site. And somebody did die on that job site. But that's neither here nor there. That was a long time ago. I'm sure that doesn't happen anymore.
No.
Except on a day that ends in Y. Anyway, so we are putting together a live event. We'll announce that soon as I finalize everything. So I don't even want to say big stuff coming because I keep saying
this is big stuff. It's already here.
It's already... All right, so that's it. That's all we got for today. We just wanted to put out a little bit of ethics to everybody and make sure everybody knows what's right and wrong out on the job site.
I'm sure we just cleared up all of the questions that everybody had about what's right and wrong.
I doubt it, very seriously.
Call us. Hey, if you're not sure and you don't want to ask your boss, send us an email. We'll tell you if it's right or wrong.
I would love it. I would love it. Send us a message on Instagram or iTunes or Podbean or wherever you're listening to your podcast. Ask us, man, or tell us the stories.
ConstructionManagementPodcast.com.
I would love to hear the nightmare stories that you guys have on your job site.
Please, because you can tell that we try to poke around things. We don't want to give up too much information about our own existence here, but we can give up all kinds of information about yours.
Oh man, and we will.
Some stories, and we will read them straight up.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Always keep the comments coming. Subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Instagram. We love it, and we'll be back soon. Thanks, guys.
Peace.